In my mouth is a desert, running dry on the tip of my tongue. I can taste your lies, how to measure the love you throw around. I could never hold you down. Your soul is the so full of emotion. Your soul is the ocean, so full of emotion. Your soul is the ocean, and I can't touch the floor. So full of emotion, I can't keep any more. Are we out of time? Will we be swallowed whole? Don't give up on us now. I can feel you there, where I once had you all alone. In the back of my mind, I'm under your spell, I can't get out. My heart falls 5 feet low, and I'm still here, I'm freezing cold. But I will wait and hold my breath till I turn blue, I turn blue, I turn blue, I turn blue, I turn blue. Your soul is the ocean, so full of emotion. Your soul is the ocean, so full of emotion.
Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylina and I am the Hex Witch, and today we are going to be reviewing the documentary Limitless that Chris Hemsworth was in. And I love Chris Hemsworth for multiple reasons. I think he's a very genuine actor. I think he's a genuine person. Yes, of course, I think he's adorable. I love his accent. He's very cute. I mean, facts are facts. But today I want to talk about that video and all the different things that I really loved about it. So Limitless is a documentary video that is on Netflix or Disney Plus, one of the two, I can't remember which one. But I watched it a few weeks ago, and it follows Chris Hemsworth. And obviously we know Chris Hemsworth is a very healthy human being, but even he, as he is getting older, is trying to find different ways that he can make his body healthier for the long term. So each episode follows different things that you can do to make your body feel better and have more longevity. So like stress, eating right, fasting, subjecting your body to both warm and cold weather, and how you can live happier as you get older, because sometimes that transition can be very difficult as you start to lose some mobility, start to lose just things that you take for granted when you're younger. And so, and there's strength, that's one of the episodes as well as like meditation and adventure, and just it talks about a lot of different things. So I want to go into a little bit deeper detail on that documentary, and I highly encourage you to go watch it because it is a great documentary and it has a lot of scientific studies behind things as well. And not to mention, you just get to watch Chris Hemsworth for every video, which is always a plus because I really do love him. So, we are going to talk more about each episode. Alright, so we are going to talk about the first episode in Limitless, which is all about stress and maintenance. And so I truly, truly believe that probably over, I don't know, 85 to 90% of people's symptoms of whatever they may be going through is probably at least partially due to stress. Stress, I don't think people realize how much of a factor that plays into how we're feeling, how our body's feeling, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that. So when we're stressed, things do not work the way they are supposed to work. And so we are going to go over that and talk about how serious that is. So, stress is defined as any reaction to a physical, mental, social, or emotional stimulus that requires a response or alteration to the way we perform, think, or feel. So, a little bit of stress is fine. You know, it's nearly impossible for your body not to have a little bit of stress at times. And a little bit is perfectly fine. It keeps you going, it keeps you motivated. But when you get into that gear of being too stressed, it can seriously chemically and physically change your body. So you don't want that to happen. So within our body, we have two different systems. We have a parasympathetic and a sympathetic system. So your parasympathetic is where you would like your body to be most of the time. This is called your rest and digest stage. This means your body does not feel like you're under threat. You can be calm, your body can be relaxed. Its bodily functions can work the way it's supposed to work. So therefore digesting, using the bathroom, your body feels safe to work the way it's supposed to, and it keeps your body calm. This state you can reach by meditation. Most of the time, we're in the other state of mind, which is the sympathetic. So this is your fight and flight mechanism. Now, way back in the day, when our ancestors were cavemen and cavewomen, this was very necessary for our body to have. And it's still necessary today, but not quite to the extent that it was way back in the day. So if your body's always in sympathetic, that means that you're always on high alert. You are ready for the next threat, the next danger. Your body is just in this constant state of alertness. This is not good for your body to be in all of the time, and it doesn't need to be all of the time. We don't have to worry about surviving out in the jungle with just a mere fire and worrying that the lion is going to be prowling the night getting ready to eat us. We no longer have to worry about that. Now, yes, there are instances, life-threatening instances that still occur, and our body needs to be ready and prepared for that. But most of the time, we should be striving to live in that parasympathetic phase of life. So, stress can bombard our minds with constant worry, and a way to combat that is to only focus on the here and now, which I know is so much easier said than done. And I am saying these things, but it's by no means meaning that I've got this down pat, because I don't. Because life happens, and it's very easy to start worrying about every little thing. But at the end of the day, if you can't control it, you need to let it go. It's just not worth the worry and the stress, especially since I promise you 90% of the time it works out. It may not have worked out the way you thought it was going to work, but it does work out. So just only worrying about the things that you can absolutely control is going to help reduce that. And I actually read a book that can't remember what it's called, but it's something about how to manage your fucks given, pretty much. And if it's out of your control, you need to save those giving effects for a later date, for something more important. And like I said, it's not easy to do. It's not, because life happens and there's lots of stressors around us at all times. But I have found that just giving it up to the universe and letting it go has been very helpful as of late and the start of this new year, and just only doing what I can do, and the rest is just up to the universe. So I'm also reading out of this huge book that I actually got when I was in school. This book is extremely helpful. I'm not saying that most people would probably ever need to buy this kind of book, but this is America's #1 guide to natural health. It's Prescription for Nutritional Healing, and it's the 5th edition. So this literally has like A through Z different symptoms, different diagnoses of anything you could possibly think of, how to help it, different vitamins and minerals that you can do to take for certain symptoms and certain diseases. And so I've referenced this quite a few times because it's got literally everything in it. It's got fibromyalgia and anxiety and stress, which is the one I'm reading from right now. But it literally has anything. So if you ever have any questions about anything that you may have, just comment down below, because I would be happy to give you the information from this book so that you don't have to go out, buy this ginormous huge book for one thing. But it does have just tons of really good, helpful information. So if you have a question, let me know. But anyway, so the big thing with stress is that it can cause fatigue, chronic headaches, irritability, changes in appetite, memory loss, low self-esteem, withdrawal, teeth grinding, cold hands, high blood pressure, shallow breathing, nervous twitching, lowered sexual drive, insomnia, and changes regarding sleep patterns and gastrointestinal disorders. It can also be a breeding ground for illness. So, stress is very, very important because it is that grounding thing that starts rooting other problems. So you have your big old bubble in the middle that has stress, and then tons of things branch out from there. And it can become a very real, very bad problem fast. And you could be having all these symptoms that don't seem like they're related to each other. You could go to the doctor and you could realize they can't find anything because you appear to be fine. But at the end of the day, it's because you have so much stress built up that is causing all of these symptoms. Now, I'm not saying that's always the case, and I feel like that's kind of a lot of doctors' first response is, oh, you're just stressed out. Well, yes, that could be part of it, but I also think doctors need to do a better job of giving us concrete ways of handling it, not just saying, oh, you're stressed. Stop being stressed. That doesn't help anybody. That doesn't do anything for anyone. And it's very frustrating when they do that, because you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, and they give you nothing. Well, just kind of figure it out. And I've been there, done that, and it's really irritating. And when you're feeling so anxiety filled and you're having all these symptoms, that's the last thing you want to hear, is just some doctor saying, well, you're stressed. Well, I know that, but what can I do to stop it? It also frustrates me when the first thing they do is automatically put you on a pill. You know, most of the time, stress can be handled in many other different ways before you just jump to taking a pill. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody. There are circumstances where sometimes you just need that extra kick to keep you kind of leveled out and calm. I currently take an anti-anxiety pill. I hope to eventually get off of it fairly soon, as my life has calmed down and I've gained much more knowledge on other ways to help it. But so if you feel like you need to take a medication for it, don't feel bad about it, you know. if it gets you back on the right track and gets you more even keeled, do what you've got to do, because stress can really be disabling. So stress contributes to many major illnesses, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, endocrine and metabolic diseases, skin disorders, and infectious ailments of all kinds. It also says that majority of back problems are actually due to stress. So if you're having a lot of back problems or any other problems, if you're having a super stressful time in your life, that could possibly be the reason why. It also causes depression, which that's kind of goes without saying. When you have anxiety, you usually have depression as well. They usually go hand in hand, which really sucks. The body responds to stress with a series of psychological changes that include increased secretion of adrenaline, elevation of blood pressure, acceleration of the heartbeat, and greater tension in the muscles. Digestion slows or stops, fats and sugars are released from stores in the body, cholesterol level rises, and the composition of blood changes slightly, making it more prone to clotting. This in turn increases the risk of stroke or heart attack. Almost all body functions and organs react to stress. So this is really important. So like I said before, when your body is just stressed for too long of a time and it's not ever getting a chance to rest and digest in that parasympathetic system, nervous system, your body starts to not work properly. All your organ systems they don't fail, but they definitely are not working to optimal ability. So your digestion system starts slowing down. You might have IBS more. You might find that you can't handle certain foods that you always used to be able to eat. And that's also because your body can no longer break down nutrients and minerals that your body desperately needs, because it's spending all of its time in survival mode. So just pretty much keeping you alive, doing the bare minimum to keep you alive, taking away the rest of its duties so that it can just focus on the here and now moment of keeping you alive, which is actually kind of scary, because all of a sudden, yeah, your mineral depletion, it's like gone. And a lot of the times people find that they're having immune responses. So fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, all these things, because your body all of a sudden cannot process, cannot work the way it's supposed to. And I know I keep repeating myself a lot, but it's just that important, guys. It really is. And the video does a great job. That documentary does a great job about explaining it even further, giving you all the scientific studies behind it. I'm just barely scraping the surface of it, and I only know some of this because I went to school for it, and stress is one of those big things that massage therapy really, really helps. So promoting massage therapy any way I can, it helps you get into that parasympathetic stage, which is great because we need to be in it more often than we generally are. So if you need to just get relaxed, set yourself up a massage appointment. Trust me, you're going to feel so much better afterwards. Okay, so moving on. So these stress responses are released from your hormones. So it works very much hand in hand with your adrenal system. So, which I also feel like doctors do not focus on enough, because your adrenal system, let's face it, especially in women, which I also found was an interesting study saying that women feel stress more than men do. Now, I'm not saying men don't feel stress, because they absolutely do, but they feel it in a little bit different way. And obviously we know as women, if our hormones are off even just the slightest bit, it causes major problems for the rest of our body. And so when our hormones and our adrenal systems are not cohesive, not working together the way they should be, this is not good at all. So it releases those hormones of cortisone and cortisol. There's also another one that I'm forgetting about. Maybe it was just cortisol. I feel like I was forgetting another one that I wrote down. Anyway, it releases a whole bunch of hormones that you don't want released all the time because it just keeps your body in overdrive. So you don't want those released all the time. Oh, also, fun fact, stress can give you jitteriness, dizziness, sweating, panic attacks, which I'll talk about a little bit later, shortness of breath, acne breakouts. It can affect your diabetes. It can affect weight gain. It can really just cause a boatload of issues. And like I kind of mentioned before, it does affect the nutritional deficiencies. So all of a sudden, your vitamins and minerals are going to go down. You're not going to be producing enough of those for your body to function correctly. So the way stress works is it increases the level of an immune system protein. And this protein is called interleukin 6. Usually it's just hyphenated as IL-6, which has direct effects on most of the cells in the body and is associated with many disorders, including diabetes, arthritis, cancer, osteoporosis, Alzheimer's disease, periodontal disease, and cardiovascular disease. It is also linked to frailty and functional decline in older adults. So you want to start managing stress whenever you really start realizing that it's affecting your life this much. So it doesn't matter how young or old you are, when you start figuring this out, you want to start working on it right away, because as you get older, it can make life even harder as you get older. Obviously, it affects how frail you become as you get older, and obviously everybody wants to live their best life for as long as they can. So manage your stress and you're gonna see the benefits long into the future as well. So eating a low glycemic load, diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains can reduce the release of IL-6. So the body does not absorb nutrients well when it is under stress, which I've already mentioned, especially deficiencies of the B complex vitamins, which are very important for proper functioning of the nervous system. So the normal human being, most of the time, does not need to take extra vitamins and minerals. If you're healthy, if you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, your body does not need those extra vitamins and minerals. In fact, sometimes if you take too much, you can get symptoms as well because your body doesn't know what to do with the extra. So the normal human being, so to speak, does not need to take extra supplements. But if you are constantly stressed all the time and your body is not producing the way it's supposed to, you're going to find that those levels are dropping off. And you may be just feeling very weird, very lethargic, no energy. It can affect hair, nails, just everything, digestion. And so you may want to go take a vitamins and nutrients test. They are a little bit expensive, but if you're just really feeling sick and you don't know why, the two things I absolutely suggest you do, and it's worth the money, is taking a food sensitivity test as well as taking a vitamins and minerals test, because you may be absolutely shocked at what your body is telling you of how low certain vitamins and minerals are, as well as which foods are affecting you. It can also kind of tell you why these foods are affecting you, because odds are if certain foods are affecting you, it's because your vitamins and mineral count are too low, so your body cannot break down those certain foods. It's crazy how it is literally all connected together in one big circle. And I'm currently going through this right now, and it took me forever to finally get someone to say, have you ever had a stomach test done, and not the test that you take at the doctor's office for the gastroenterologist, because they never once suggested a food test. Never once. Instead, they had me go through like 3 colonoscopies, which are not fun, by the way, especially when you're only 26 years old and you shouldn't have to get them quite yet. So, if you don't want to have to go get a colonoscopy, I highly suggest doing a food test. It's going to tell you a lot. It's a good jumping off point, it's a good starting point, and it may save you a lot of stress down the road. They are, like I said, a little bit expensive, and I don't feel like insurance does a great job covering them because they are more preventative maintenance instead of reactive maintenance, which in our Western world, we are all about only fixing things when problems occur instead of keeping people healthy so that they don't have to worry about it. But that's a conversation for another day, and it's just a messed up way of thinking. So, moving on. So I also want to just mention PTSD. And the reason I mention this is because PTSD is obviously a form of stress. Now, a lot of times people think PTSD, they think of, soldiers coming back from war. They don't necessarily think of it as a normal, just everyday person can still have PTSD. And it doesn't always have to be this just terribly traumatic event. It can even be smaller things that just impacted you more than you even realized. And you could be just going about your day and all of a sudden have a panic attack. And you're wondering why, because in that particular moment, you're not feeling stressed. So you're like, why is this happening to me? Why is my heartbeat beating faster? Why can I not breathe? Why do I feel like the walls are closing in? My eyes are dimming. And panic attacks are very scary. But I can tell you 90% of the time it's a panic attack. But whenever you've had your first panic attack, people literally think they're either having a heart attack or a stroke because the symptoms are so intense that they feel like it's something more. Most of the time it's a panic attack. Now obviously if you have any kind of doubt whatsoever, please go to the hospital. You don't want to risk it and say, oh, it's just a panic attack, and it could be something much more serious. But if you're generally in good health and all of a sudden you're just feeling very anxious, your limbs can go numb, shallowness of breath, just feeling very headstrong, it could be a panic attack. And most of the time they do, they take a few minutes, but then they kind of clear up on their own. But PTSD can be caused by minor traumatic things as well as traumatic things. And sometimes our brains, for whatever reason, will pick random times to go back to that traumatic event and relive it, even if we're not even thinking about that event. For some reason, our brain just does not separate those instances out. And obviously, I'm not a neurologist. I don't have an explanation for that. If I did a bunch of research, I could probably give you some answers. But the brain is extremely complicated, and that is outside my realm of knowledge. But anyway, it's anytime you relive a traumatic event in a manner and to an extent that this interferes with normal life. It's related to your nervous system, and it can affect your digestive organs. Symptoms of stress-related digestive disorders may be a flare-up of an ulcer or irritable bowel syndrome. Stress can be either acute or long-term. Obviously, if you're just having acute stress things here and there, that's better than having it go on forever and a day, because that's also going to get you in trouble with potentially chronic fatigue syndrome as well as fibromyalgia. Usually it takes one big traumatic, stressful event that can trigger it. But if you're having a bunch of those just for years on end, you could end up getting stuck with fibro or chronic fatigue. And trust me, I have fibro. It adds a whole new layer of complications. It's not to say you can't live with it and you can't live a happy, healthy life, but if you can prevent getting to that point, you want to. So also when we are just overly stressed out, it actually slows down the healing process of our bodies, because our bodies can't focus on healing when it's too busy surviving, if that makes sense. So then there's a whole section in this book about different vitamins and minerals that you want to make sure that you're keeping up with. But there are some like main ones that I would suggest more. And obviously, I am not an herbalist. I am not a doctor. So I'm just putting that label on here right now so that I don't get in trouble. But if you're interested in taking any of these, my best advice is go see a naturopathic doctor. Naturopathic doctors are going to be very much more in tune with how the whole body system works. Doctors, and I know it sounds like I'm bashing doctors, and I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to. I'm not saying you guys are all bad. I'm just saying that doctors are so specialized in like certain areas that when you're having an immune system reaction or you're having a bunch of symptoms all at once, it's usually because your body as a whole is not working the way it's supposed to. So just going to one specific doctor is not going to solve the problem. And most of the time they're not going to find anything because they're going to be like, well, you appear normal. And so finding a good naturopathic doctor that you can trust, they literally look at all the systems combined together and they realize how everything is connected. And so they work with the body as a whole versus just segregating each parts out. So I definitely suggest seeing a naturopathic doctor if you're having just tons of random symptoms, you have no answers, you've been to everyone else, still no answers, had every test done in the book, still no answers. Try them. Try them. You might be just shocked at the information that they can provide you. And they're also really, really good at breaking things down so that you understand them and you don't feel stupid. You don't feel stupid talking to them because they hear you. They've seen more people like you than you even know. So anyway, we're getting on to another subject other than just stress, but a lot of these things are caused by stress. So the most helpful nutrients I can suggest looking into is glutathione, and I may have like a little bar somewhere that shows you how that is spelled because I'm probably saying it wrong. And it's an antioxidant that protects the cells against damage. There's also, like I already talked about, the vitamin B complexes. So all your B vitamins. So vitamin B6, vitamin B12, B5. And all B vitamins are necessary for health and proper functioning of the nervous system. You also have vitamin C, which is very, very important as well. Essential to the adrenal gland function, stress depletes the gland hormones, the anti-stress hormones. So they also suggest taking vitamin C with bioflavonoids. You also have calcium and magnesium. I can guarantee you a lot of people are probably deficient in magnesium. And so if you struggle with headaches a lot, look into magnesium because magnesium has actually been studied and has shown that it helps with headaches. Also look into if you're iron deficient, especially as women. We tend to be iron deficient. If you're eating ice all the time, that's called pica, and that is telltale sign that you are iron deficient. So look at your iron, look at your magnesium. Also look at your calcium. So both of these are majorly lost when you're stressed. Deficiency is common in highly stressed individuals and can result in anxiety, fear, and even hallucinations. So like I said, going and taking a vitamin, a nutrients test is worth knowing. Just to make sure that your body is keeping up with everything that it needs to function correctly. Okay. So there's a bunch of other things as well. Making sure vitamin E is up, making sure your zinc is up. But like I said, those talk to a naturopathic doctor. They're going to be able to give you what they think is best for you. And I'm not going to lie, if you've been feeling bad for a long time, I've been feeling bad up to 4 years, and I'm finally getting to a naturopathic doctor. I've been down the road of stressing, being told I was fine, going to every doctor imaginable. I'm not even joking with you. Every single doctor I could possibly think of, trying to figure out what was wrong with me, realizing it was fibromyalgia. But now I'm realizing even more so it's because my body is so deficient in things. And I had lots of kind of traumatic events happen 4 years ago, all at once. And so that resulted in me getting fibromyalgia, and my body has just not recovered since. And so I have been going through this. So I'm hoping I saved at least somebody from having to go through all the struggles that I went through. And all the money that I've spent on trying to get answers, because it's a very frustrating process. And I'm not saying that to have a pity party. I'm just saying that I'm hoping that if you have similar symptoms to what I'm having, stomach issues, just feeling draggy and never awake, and just tons of random symptoms, please go check out a naturopathic doctor. They may get you on the right track. Now, there are some herbs and things that they suggest as well. Ashwagandha is one of them, and it's an Ayurvedic herb that acts as a sedative and a nerve tonic. That ashwagandha is in a lot of like natural things. I think it's even in my protein drink that I drink every morning, which is Rebel, by the way, which is really, really great. If you have tons of restrictions of things that you can't have, look up Rebel, because it doesn't have, even if you're like allergic to almond milk, it uses coconut, and it's very, very clean, very limited ingredients, and it actually tastes good. They have tons of flavors. I suggest the chocolate hazelnut one. That one's my favorite, but I've just recently discovered that brand, and 5 stars. I really can say I love drinking it every morning, and I put my collagen in it, and we're good to go. So, and I think it does have ashwagandha in it. It also suggests chamomile. This is a gentle relaxant. It is a good nerve tonic, soothing to the digestive tract, and pleasant sleep aid. So chamomile you can find it in teas. It's great for drinking right before bed. You could also mix chamomile and lavender together. Both of those are very soothing herbs. Now, obviously, since I am talking about herbs, another warning sign, please, before you start any new herbs, any supplements, anything, make sure it is safe for you. Make sure you don't have a reaction. Start very slow. Talk to somebody that really knows this stuff, or do tons of research on your own before you start any of the stuff, because even herbs and natural things from the earth can still have an effect on you. For instance, my poor mom, most people are totally fine with lavender. She literally breaks out into full body hives with lavender. So drinking a cup of lavender tea would probably put her in the hospital. So please, 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 please be mindful if you're starting new herbal supplements, because even some of these are not safe in particular instances. For instance, chamomile. If you're allergic to ragweed, probably not the herb for you. Also, during pregnancy and nursing, if you are pregnant and nursing, there are a very select herbs and things that are safe for you while you're pregnant. So please talk to somebody who's a professional in this if you're wanting to try different things. I know there are some herbal remedies out there that are great for pregnancy that can really help ease through that process if you're having a rough pregnancy, but chamomile is not one of them. So please don't consume it. It may also interact with rorifen and cyclosporin. So patients using those 2 drugs should probably also stay clear of chamomile. The next one on the list that I marked is hops, like literally HOPS, hops. And this helps to ease nervousness, restlessness, and stress. It also decreases the desire for alcohol. So I know it's maybe sometimes easy to get on alcohol or certain drugs to make ourselves feel better. I would not recommend handling ourselves in that way. I'm not judging. I'm just saying there are much healthier methods to hopefully get you back to feeling better than to drown ourselves in substances that are going to harm us badly in the long run. So maybe try hops. If your go-to is alcohol, maybe try these herbs instead. Passion flower is another one. It's calming and is potent addition to any anti-stress formula. So passion flower is probably in a lot of anti-stress things. For instance, there's a brand called, oh gosh, what is it? Rescue Remedy, I believe. They have people versions and even pet versions as well. It's all natural, and I believe passion flower is an ingredient in that. So you can take them instead of anxiety medication, and it's supposed to help kind of relax your system in a very natural way. And I do believe that that brand is very safe for most people to use. So if you're wanting to try a more natural way of healing, try Rescue Remedy. So valerian is also on the list. This keeps the nervous system from being overwhelmed. It is also as a powerful sleep aid when taken at bedtime and helps to ease stress-related headaches. Do just be somewhat careful with valerian. I believe you don't want to take it like all the time. So it just be cautious when taking it. Only take it when you really need it and not just every day all the time. There's also certain recommendations within this book, which is why I love this book, because it talks about each, symptom or disease or diagnosis. It goes into detail about it, and then it also gives all the nutrients and vitamins and foods that you should be eating, and then as well as giving you specific recommendations that they say is the best. So we're going to go over some of these. So it says eat a diet composed of 50 to 75% raw foods. This means fresh fruits and vegetables. Not only supply valuable vitamins and minerals, but are rich in compounds called flavonoids, many of which scavenge and neutralize dangerous free radicals. So long story short, you don't want your body to have tons of free radicals. It's going to be very damaging to your cells. Avoid processed foods and all foods that create stress on the system, such as artificial sweeteners, carbonated soft drinks, chocolate, eggs, fried foods, junk food, pork, red meat, sugar, white flour products, foods containing preservatives or heavy spices, and chips and similar snack foods. Okay. I would like to say that we're all gonna, when we get on our health craze, that we are gonna go balls to the wall and we're just gonna do everything right. That's not the case. It's not gonna be the case. I'm sorry. If you literally cut out everything, you're gonna have nothing left to eat. And then guess what? You're gonna be stressed because you don't know what to eat, which I was also in that boat for a while because it just seemed like so many things were conflicting and I didn't know what I could eat, because even some of the healthy stuff I wasn't digesting properly because of the vitamin and mineral reduction. So like my advice for what it's worth is get the food test done. It's going to give you your high level things, your medium, moderate levels, and then of course your things that you're not at all affected by. Avoid your high level ones. I mean, and I'm sorry if it's dairy, if it's gluten, you need to stick to it, especially if it's gluten and you have a gluten intolerance like celiac disease. That really truly means you need to stop eating gluten or anything with gluten in it, and you really need to become very good at reading packages, because What happens when you have celiac disease is it's not just when it goes through your system, it's not just giving you a minor like symptoms and then you're fine. It's actually breaking down like your small intestine, and there's like these I don't know the word. I know the word, I don't know how to pronounce it. But it literally breaks down these things in your small intestines, and it's not good. It's really not good. So if you have celiac disease or gluten intolerance, stop eating gluten. Please stop eating gluten. It really is very, very damaging to your body. And even if you have a sensitivity, you should probably be avoiding it as well. Just because you're going to have bloating, you're going to have just a lot of stomach issues, bathroom issues, just feeling off and sick. It can cause brain fog really bad. So just be aware of that. Dairy can do similar things. Usually you just have kind of more like the diarrhea and stuff, and having to clear your throat a lot because it gets kind of like a reaction in your esophagus, which also isn't good because down the road you could very well have esophagus issues that you don't want to have to deal with. So avoiding your big top ones is key. And you know, if you have to do kind of a very restrictive diet up to, you know, like 6 weeks, if your body is just really, really out of sync, do it. Just do it. I know it's really hard. I know we crave things and we love things. I'm currently going through this right now where I'm on 6 weeks of a very, very restrictive diet. And not to mention I'm a vegetarian on top of it all. So, and there's a whole list of things I can't eat. And it's not fun. It's not fun. It really, really sucks. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It sucks. So, but I'm hoping by the end of this, if my body can be better and it can start handling food again, I'll be able to start adding more of those foods back into my diet. And hopefully learning my lesson this time to eat healthy things as well as, you know, the occasional treat, you know. So long story short, just being a little more observant on what we're putting into our bodies. It does say eliminate dairy products up to about 3 weeks if you feel like you're having an effect to it. If you've really been having upset issues for years and years, like I have to do 6 weeks. Limit your intake of caffeine, which I know probably killed somebody when I said that because caffeine is everybody's best friend. But really it's not, because even when you don't feel like you're having effects of caffeine, you probably are, because caffeine in your body just tells your brain to keep going and going and going and going and going. And that's why you really need to cut it off at some point. Maybe 1 cup right away in the morning to wake you up. Then switch over to decaf at least. Or stop drinking at a certain point, because caffeine affects your sleep cycle. It can give you anxiety and jitters, and yeah, so if you're having a lot of stomach issues, caffeine is also just really, really hard on your body. So I know it's hard. Caffeine is not great for you. Not great for you. So a little bit is okay. Like coffee itself is actually fine. Coffee by itself, just black, is actually has a lot of benefits to it, but it's all the caffeine that becomes a problem. Anything in too much is always going to be a problem. I'm going to stop this just for a minute to make sure I'm not losing anything, because otherwise I'm going to be really pissed if I lost all of this. So hold on. Okay, so we were talking about food stuff. The next one on the list is avoid alcohol and tobacco and mood-altering drugs. While these substances may offer temporary relief from stress, they do nothing to really address the problem. These things, first of all, are not good for you. I think we all know that at this point in time. I understand if you have an addiction, and it's an addiction, and addictions are incredibly hard to break, and I get that. I really do. But if you are addicted to either of these, really try hard to break it. If you are going through, alcohol or a smoking addiction, please feel like you can go get help and hopefully get yourself back to being healthy again so that you don't feel like you have to rely on those things. Uh, Another thing is getting regular exercise. Our bodies need to move. Our bodies actually want to move, and that helps give that stress an outlet, a healthy outlet. So when you're moving and you're getting that energy out, then your body is able to calm down and relax the way that it should. And it's just, as much as it feels like it's a lot of work to get up or get out and do exercising, it really is something that even for just like 20 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day or whatever you can comfortably fit into your schedule, but making time for it is a great way to help relieve stress, because it also just allows your mind to be focused on something other than everything else going on in your life. So exercise is great, and find something that you enjoy doing. Find a fun exercise hobby. It doesn't have to be running on the treadmill or lifting weights, or go try something new. Go try rowing, or I don't know, fencing or kung fu, anything, Zumba, anything that is fun and makes you actually like want to go out and do it. Because otherwise, I'm in the same boat. If it's just doing burpees for 5 minutes on end and then finishing up with mountain climbers, there's no way in hell I'm gonna stick to that. I'm just not. I'm not gonna do it. It's horrible. It's boring. It's not fun. Not even the best music playlist can, distract you from doing that stuff. And honestly, each person is different. So the way that your body likes to exercise could be completely different from someone else. So take the time to find things that your body and your mind enjoy. And I'm sorry, I hope none of this sounds like I'm like lecturing anything, because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to find our best selves, and it's a process. It's a very long process, and sometimes things go wrong and the road is bumpy, and I understand that. I really do. I'm on the road with you. I'm on the road with you, or we are off-roading, or we're tipped over. Wherever you're at in this current moment, that's okay. Acknowledge it, and we're always just trying to move forward. So the next tip is get sufficient sleep at night, and this is very true. When you're sleeping, your body it's resting and digesting, and it's working to help you know freshen your body up so that you can get up and go the next day. So, insomnia is a real thing. A lot of people struggle with it. That's why cutting out the caffeine at a certain point, getting off of your phones and cellular devices, computers, TV at a certain point is good too, because the energy from those things just keep us awake. So maybe drinking that lavender chamomile tea right before bed, meditating right before bed, making sure you have the proper lighting and everything in your room. If you fall asleep good to music, or you have a certain aromatherapy that you like, there's so many things that you can do to help optimize your sleep habits. And sometimes it's just resetting your circadian rhythm. Um, Melatonin is great to help you fall asleep when you need it. I wouldn't say taking it just every single night. Not that it's not safe to do that, but your body does kind of get used to it, and so you're just gonna have to take more and more and more and more and more to get the same effect. So, but on the nights that you're just really, really just laying in bed and it's 3 a.m. and you can't sleep, take some melatonin. It may help. And I know that doesn't work for everybody, because especially with insomnia, that's a real struggle. Insomnia is not an easy thing to deal with, because you feel you're tired, but your mind is just still up and you can't sleep, and that's horrible. That's not good. But yeah, the one next thing on the list is meditation. So I like to meditate every day, and I do find that it really does help, especially. And while yes, some days my mind is much more distracted than other days, generally I do like to just try to clear my mind completely, either do it at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day. Both, if you can fit the time in, just for like 10 minutes. And I do notice a difference just in the way that I feel. I don't feel like I'm so stressed about everything or thinking about everything. I really force my mind just to go blank. And that's usually when your psychic intuition kicks in too, because the universe talks to us in the quiet moments. So if you're always bustling and busy and or running 100 million miles an hour, and you're wanting to develop that psychic intuition, meditation is the way to go, because that's when you're going to start sensing things that are outside of our norm. That's just a side note. Uh, Another good advice is monitor your internal conversations. So, a lot of things are mind over matter. If you're always downgrading yourself, talking bad about yourself, your mind does not, your brain doesn't realize what is just kind of messing around versus what is real. So if you say, oh man, I just suck, I'm so stupid, your brain thinks that. Like it acknowledges that and it believes that. So you want to try to not have so much self-doubt. You want to try and encourage yourself and say, you know what, I can do this. Okay, this didn't work, but we're going to try again this way. Just changing that mindset around to being more positive, and you will see a difference. You bring in what you put out. So if you're putting out this negativity, that's what you're going to receive back. It's like looking into a mirror. So put out that positivity. And I know that's hard sometimes. We all have bad days. I get it. But just kind of working to just be more mindful of what we're saying about ourselves to ourselves. Taking a day off when we need it. I know we all have to work. We all have to make money. We have bills to pay. We have mouths to feed. But sometimes just a self-care day is exactly what our body needs and our mind needs and our spirituality needs to just kind of refresh, regroup, and get back on the right track. So if you're just going through a horrible time of stress, take a day off. Just take a day off. Self-care day, sick day, whatever you want to call it, do it. It's probably your body's way of telling you that it needs it. And if your body is like mine, it like completely shuts down, like quite literally shuts down. So I have to watch that, because I actually get migraines that mimic strokes. And so when I'm too stressed, that happens, and it literally takes me out for the entire day, whether I want it to or not, because it's such a disability that I can't actually function. So hopefully most of your bodies don't do that to you, but listen to when you're too stressed. It's okay to take a day off. Trust me, your job will still be there the next day, and if it's not, shame on your bosses, and the world will continue. I absolutely promise you it will. Pursue a hobby, like I already kind of mentioned. Do not repress or deny your emotions. I know people like this, and bless their pea picking hearts. Actually, I have a lot of people in my life that do this, and it drives me crazy, because I am an empath, so I can't tell when someone's having an off day, an off week, an off month. I can tell. And when you ask them, hey, is everything going okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Like, You cannot repress your emotions. Now, I'm not saying throw a huge tantrum, maybe in the privacy of your own home. Just have a good tantrum, have a good cry. Do what you gotta do. Sometimes that's a good thing to do. But have people in your life that you feel comfortable kind of decompressing with, talk to them. Nobody, the last thing anybody close to you wants to happen is for you to suppress your emotions so much that you get to this very low state. And I don't want to say the word because I don't like that word, but I know everybody has been to that spot probably at least once in their life where they just feel like they can't keep going. And you got to talk to people. You've got to find a way, because these low points are just phases, just like the moon. They're phases. You will come out of it, and you will be a better, stronger person for it. And I know it doesn't seem like it when you're in that place, but you got to keep going, and you've got to find people that you can talk to, and you can't suppress it. Journal it, talk to a counselor, a therapist, a trusted family member, a trusted friend, somebody. Don't just let it bottle up inside. You just cannot do that. So stress can also be related to allergens and allergic symptoms that are a little bit more severe. So, which is crazy to me that can even go as far as connecting with allergies, but it can. Stress can. Stress can aggravate certain skin disorders such as psoriasis and skin cancer. So, and obviously, when you're going through cancer, you're nothing but stressed. So I can't sit here and say, just relax. Don't be stressed out, because come on. If you have cancer, you're going to be stressed out. But another note, and I don't know them at all, but I've watched them forever and a day, and I love their videos. But Sam and Colby, I just saw on Colby's feed that he just went through cancer. So the very few people that watch me, please give him all the good mojo. It appears that he's going to be okay, but he's only 26 years old. So, and, for him to be going through that right now, I can't imagine. He seems like he's in good spirits. I don't know him, but he's always like in good spirits, and so I'm putting out to the universe that he gets better very fast, because I was almost in tears when I saw that, because I love Sam and Colby. They are like my favorite YouTube channel, so I hope he can take all the time he needs to rest and get better, so that they can go back to doing what they love. So that is totally off conversation, but another piece of advice that this book gives is giving you a certain amount of time to worry throughout the day. So you give yourself a few minutes at a certain time of day to write down all your worries, to worry about each of them, and then you allow yourself to move on. I don't know how efficient that is or how well that works. I've never tried it, but it's worth a suggestion, I guess. And then, and I feel like this last one is a little bit hard because it talks about heavy metal intoxication. And I don't know about you, but I'm not living my life every day going, have I inhaled a lot of metal today? Have I been intoxicated by metals? That's just not something that's even on my mind. But I'm sure it's something that we need to start being more aware of. But honestly, I don't know enough about that to even give you advice on that. So it just mentions it in the book, and it's probably something that's good to kind of do further research on. So at some point, I probably will do that. Anyway, that was a much longer video than I meant to do, and this video was so exceptionally long that I'm going to probably split each episode of Limitless into a separate video. That way, this video would probably be like 3 hours long if I didn't. So, that is the stress video, and maintaining your stress is very, very important. So start implementing things to keep your body more healthy for the future. Um, I really did love this video. Chris Hemsworth was doing absolutely insane things. Like he was walking across this tightrope on this super high building, which he's scared of heights, and I am as well, so that is not something you'd find me doing. He was also like tied, like military training, and thrown into the water, and was expected to like survive for a certain amount of time. And I believe in that episode he also went into a burning building with firefighters as like a training course. So keep in mind, and I know they give like warnings in the video as well, but these are obviously things that we don't do on a normal basis. So please do not watch this video and be like, huh, Kaylina thought it was a great idea for, my friend to hog tie my hands and feet together and shove me in the nearest community pool. That is not what I'm saying. So please do not go do that. Obviously, when Chris was doing these things, he had supervision at all times, and obviously, I hate to say it, but he's a whole lot more fit and able-bodied for doing that kind of stuff than most of us are. So unless you're being supervised by a professional, and really I wouldn't suggest doing most of those things anyway. There's a fine line between adventurous and stupid. So let's not cross the line, okay? So just anything that you're trying, and you don't need to do crazy things to know that it gets your stress rate up and your heart rate up. Know that just daily things will be doing that, and you will be going up and down throughout the day like a normal human being. You do not need to put yourself in extreme danger to find that out. But anyway, I do recommend watching the whole documentary. As these next few weeks go by, I will talk about the other episodes as well. I'm sorry that this one had so much detail. As always, stay happy, stay healthy. That's all I have for you today. And I will see you next time for the next video. If you do like this content, please subscribe, give it a like, give me any comments that you have or questions that you have, and I will see you next time for the next video.